Sometimes in the evening, a person sits down, removes their shoes, and suddenly feels as if their feet do not belong to them. They become heavy, as if filled with lead. Every movement turns into a trial. In such moments, you only dream of the pain easing. I am a doctor with over 30 years of experience, and believe me, over the years, I have met hundreds of patients with the same request. Doctor, by evening my legs feel like they are exploding. Do anything to get rid of this heaviness. Many believe that swelling is merely a result of fatigue or aging, but in reality, it is a signal, quiet yet persistent. Slow down. Take care of yourself. It's interesting that you can help yourself not with complex medicines or expensive procedures, but with what is available in every home. I want to tell you about a simple, proven method that will bring lightness, warmth, and comfort back to your legs in just 20 minutes. And surprisingly, this method is related to ordinary salt. Don't rush to dismiss this idea. What can salt do? In fact, she can do a lot, much more than you think. At the end of this video, I will reveal the most important secret that almost no one knows. This simple rule makes saline solution not just a remedy for swelling, but a true salvation for vessels and joints. Believe me, this can change not only the condition of your legs, but also your overall well-being. I urge you to watch this video until the end, as I will explain how to properly prepare a saline solution, how to use it, and why just 20 minutes can become your evening ritual of recovery and inner peace. But first, let me explain where these swellings come from. Why do the legs throb as if after a heavy day, even for those who hardly walked? And why salt is not an enemy, as many think, but rather a natural helper when used correctly. With age, the vessels lose their elasticity, and the lymphatic system works more slowly. Any stagnation is like a dam in a river. The fluid does not drain, the tissues swell, and you feel heaviness. I saw how women over 50 began to avoid walks, dances, and even simple household chores, just because their legs could not support them. However, one simple habit returned their joy of movement. One day, a patient, a teacher, came to me. She was 67 years old. She said, "I can no longer stand at the board. By evening, my feet burn, swollen to the knee." I suggested a simple remedy, a 20-minute salt compress. A week later, she returned and said, "Doctor, I can't believe it. I am walking in the evenings again." This is what I want to talk about. Not about miracles, but about science and experience. About how salt draws out excess fluid, reduces inflammation, and returns a sense of lightness to the legs. At the very end of the video, I will explain how to enhance the effect several times by adding one small but very important detail to the salt, which almost no one knows about. This is something I usually only tell my patients during appointments. Please take a moment and listen to the end. If you feel discomfort in your legs, if by evening it seems that even your house slippers have become tight, do not ignore these signals. I urge you to set aside just 20 minutes for yourself. You will be surprised at how easily you can restore lightness to both your body and soul. And remember, I do not promise instant miracles, but I assure you that you will feel care, warmth, and support. What is so necessary in adulthood? Let's figure out why swelling occurs and how to understand that your body needs help. This is an important step before moving on to the recipe. Swelling and heaviness in the legs are not just physical discomfort. They are a quiet but persistent signal that your body is tired not only physically, but also internally. I have met many patients who said the same. "Doctor, by evening my legs feel like they are not mine." Some attributed it to age, others to pressure, some to the weather. But more often the reason is deeper. We stop hearing our body. After 50, metabolism slows down, blood vessels lose their elasticity, and lymph begins to move more slowly. It resembles a river, where quiet backwaters form. Where water once flowed swiftly and cleanly, stagnant areas now arise. It is this stagnation that we feel as heaviness, pain, and swelling. At first, this only happens in the evening, but then it becomes constant. But why is salt useful? Many are surprised, as we were taught from childhood. Less salt means less harm. This is indeed true when it comes to food. However, there is another side, external application. Salt, when in contact with the skin, creates a special osmotic pressure. In simpler terms, it draws excess fluid from the tissues, reduces inflammation, and improves microcirculation. The body seems to exhale, blood and lymph begin to flow again, and the heaviness disappears. This is not magic. It is pure physics and biology. I often explain to my patients, salt is a natural pump that acts gently and respectfully towards the body. I remember a man, a former soldier, who was 62 years old. He was used to enduring pain and never complained. But that day, after taking off his shoes, he quietly said, "Doctor, it seems my legs are just exploding from the inside." His veins were swollen, and the skin on his shins was tight like a drum. We started with something simple: salt baths. A week later, he no longer hid his smile and said, "I didn't believe that salt could help, but now I feel like I'm walking on air." This is a case where a simple remedy restores not only comfort, but also confidence that his body is still capable of lightness. Salt influences not only on a physical level, but also psychologically. The process itself is a moment of pause, an opportunity to be alone with oneself. When a person pours warm water, dissolves salt in it, and immerses tired feet, the body receives the signal: you deserve a rest. In these moments, natural processes of recovery are initiated. Blood vessels expand, blood flow increases, muscles relax, and the brain receives more oxygen. As a result, the inner calm that is so often lost in the routine of adult life arrives. I always assert, you cannot heal the body without touching the soul. Swelling is not just excess fluid in the tissues, but also internal tension. We carry unexpressed anxieties, fatigue, and distrust in our own strength. In the evening, when we dip our feet into the warm salt solution, we feel as if we are freeing ourselves from everything. Our feet are our support. They carry us throughout life, bearing every step and every burden, both physical and emotional. Therefore, taking care of our legs means taking care of ourselves as a whole. Many ask, "Doctor, what if the problem is in the blood vessels? Do I have varicose veins or lymphostasis?" I always reply, salt is a universal remedy, and one of the gentlest and most natural ways to support the blood vessels. It helps improve tone, reduces inflammation, and aids blood flow. Most importantly, it is safe when used wisely. The power of salt lies not in aggression, but in harmony. Once, I observed a woman who was 71 years old. She worked as an accountant for 30 years, spending her days at a desk. Her legs had long been swollen, but she didn't pay much attention to it, thinking it happened to everyone. When I told her about salt compresses, she smiled and said, "Doctor, you are joking. I have been making soups with salt my whole life. Can she really help me?" A month later, she brought me a jar of homemade jam and confessed, "Now every morning and evening I feel lighter. Even my walk has changed." Indeed, a person experiencing lightness in their legs changes entirely. Their gaze becomes softer, posture straighter, and breathing deeper. Why is this especially important after 50? As we age, the body stops recovering quickly. Every little thing, like swelling, becomes a link in the chain. Today, it's just heaviness. Tomorrow, it could be inflammation, and then varicose veins may develop. But everything can be stopped if attention is paid in time. Salt is not just a remedy. It's an opportunity to slow down and give the body a chance to recover without extra pressure and chemicals. I strongly urge you not to ignore the signals of your body. When you feel your legs swelling, do not wait until it becomes a constant pain. Sometimes just 20 minutes in the evening is enough, and your body will respond with gratitude. Water and salt together create an almost ancient ritual of purification. There is nothing supernatural in this, only attention to oneself, to what really matters. In the following minutes, I will explain how to properly prepare the solution, what the salt concentration should be, and why this specific water temperature yields the maximum effect. But the most important thing is that I will share a secret that almost no one knows. This small technique significantly enhances the effect of salt and turns the procedure into something more than just pleasant, into a truly healing experience. This is the moment I usually reveal only to my closest patients. Remember, heaviness in the legs is not a sentence. It is your body's plea for help. If you are ready to hear it, you have already taken the first step to recovery. In the next part, I will show you how salt can restore lightness to your legs, improve circulation, and reduce inflammation without the use of medications. And believe me, you will feel the changes after the first treatment. When it comes to salt, most people see it as a common seasoning, something familiar and unobtrusive, always available. However, I constantly remind my patients, do not underestimate the simple. Sometimes it is in simplicity that the power lies, capable of restoring harmony in the body. Salt acts as a natural stabilizer, providing balance between tension and relaxation. Used wisely, it can become a true healing remedy bestowed by nature. I explain to my patients, when you dissolve salt in water, it creates an environment that can draw out everything from the tissues that hinders your body from breathing freely. swelling, inflammation, congestion. All of this passes through the skin, like through an open door, while the body receives warmth, active circulation, and lightness. It is truly a unique case where the positive effect is felt almost immediately. The right solution is not just warm water with salt. Here, precision is important, as too weak a solution will not yield the desired effect, while too strong a solution may dry out the skin. The optimal concentration is about 10%, meaning 1 liter of water requires 100 grams of salt, which is roughly 2 heaping tablespoons. I recommend using regular table salt without additives, flavorings, or iodine. Sea salt is also useful if it is pure. The water temperature should be around 38 to 40 degrees Celsius. It should not be hot, but noticeably warm, so that the vessels gently open and the blood can circulate faster. Pour water into a basin, dissolve salt in it, and stir thoroughly to avoid any crystals. Then, make yourself comfortable, dip your feet into the solution, and just be alone with yourself, without a phone, without news, without haste. 20 minutes is not just a procedure for the feet, it's a whole 20 minutes of silence. During this time, the body begins to work on its own. Salt draws out excess fluid, water relaxes the muscles, the vessels open up. You can feel a slight tingling, as if tiny air bubbles are running across your skin. This is normal, this is how exchange happens, how the body exhales. If you feel warmth and relaxation, then the process is going as it should. After the procedure, do not wash your feet under the tap immediately. Just gently wipe them with a soft towel. You can give a light massage, starting from the feet and moving up to the knees. And here, the real magic begins. The warmth you feel in your legs is a sign that the stagnation has gone and the blood is circulating through the vessels again. I want to share a story. I had a patient named Anna Vasilyevna. She is 63 years old. She worked as a pharmacist her whole life, spending 10 to 12 hours on her feet. By evening, her legs felt heavier than her head, and despite trying various ointments, compresses, and pills, relief was always temporary. We decided to try salt baths. I explained all the details to her: temperature, time, concentration. A week later, she called and said, "Doctor, I don't believe it. I can sleep peacefully again without pain." A month later, she even signed up for yoga. Salt not only returned her lightness, but also her confidence that her body was still alive, flexible, and grateful. I always ask, try for at least a week, 7 evenings in a row for 20 minutes. And see what changes. Some people note that not only their legs but their entire body feels lighter. Some claim they sleep more soundly, while others say their inner tension has dissipated. This is quite understandable. When the swelling goes down, the brain starts receiving more oxygen, the heart functions more calmly, and the body stops fighting against itself. Saline solution is not just a way to relieve fatigue. It's a method of restoring balance in the body. When a person immerses their feet in warm, salty water, they seem to whisper to themselves, "I care for you." And the body feels it. The reaction occurs at the level of blood vessels, nerve endings, and hormones. Even the stress level decreases. Research confirms that salt baths help normalize blood pressure and improve sleep quality. There is one important point that I only reveal to my patients. If you want to enhance the effect 2 to 3 times, add just 1 teaspoon of regular baking soda to the solution. Salt draws out excess moisture, while baking soda helps neutralize toxins, gently affecting the skin and vessels. Together, they work as a perfect team. Salt extracts, baking soda cleanses. But do not overdo it. It is important to maintain softness and not make the solution too alkaline. And now, I will say what really matters. The secret of success is not in the salt itself, but in consistency. A one-time procedure will bring relief, but if you turn it into a ritual, the body will start to adapt. The vessels will become more elastic, the lymph more active, and the heaviness that tormented you for years will disappear without a trace. I have observed this many times, and please, do not delay. I urge you to dedicate these 20 minutes to your legs today. Let this be your quiet evening of self-care. Legs are our foundation, our connection to the earth. When they are at ease, everything else, including the soul, is at ease. In the next recommendation I will discuss, it will be about what is beneficial not only for the body, but also for the mind. How can a simple action slow down the aging of blood vessels and preserve mental clarity? Believe me, this step will surprise you as much as the power of salt. I often remind my patients, reducing swelling is only half the journey. True recovery begins when blood and lymph learn to move correctly again. Stagnation is not just a physical condition. It is a way of life. We move less and sit more, not noticing how day by day we become observers of our own body, which quietly asks for help. After you have taken a salt bath, feeling light, warm, and relaxed, it's time to give your legs what they truly crave: gentle, calm movement. It shouldn't be intense and requires no effort. On the contrary, as you age, it's important to maintain smoothness and rhythm. Lymph and blood prefer moderation. If you perform a few simple movements after the procedure, for example, rotate your feet, rise on your toes, or take a few steps around the room, you can extend the effect of the bath 2 to 3 times. Many are surprised. Doctor, is it really that simple? Yes, it is simple, but in simplicity, as always, lies wisdom. When the muscles contract, they seem to massage the vessels from within, promoting the upward movement of blood. This is especially relevant in mature age when the venous valves no longer function as actively. Every movement feels like a gentle push that aids the heart. If you send such signals to your body daily, it will reward you with lightness and clarity of mind. I did not mention the brain for nothing. At first glance, what do legs and clarity of thought have in common? In fact, the connection is direct. When blood flows properly, it nourishes not only the muscles, but also the brain. And if there is stagnation in the lower part of the body, the brain lacks oxygen. This leads to fatigue, distraction, headaches, and a decline in mood. Have you ever noticed how your mind seems to clear after a walk in the fresh air? This is not a coincidence. It is the result of the active work of the vessels that refill every cell with vitality. In my experience, people who keep moving live longer and feel happier. It's not just words. I've observed elderly patients who start each morning with light exercises and end their evenings with salt baths. Even at the age of 70, they looked more energetic than those 20 years younger. Their eyes sparkled, their steps were light, and their thoughts were clear. Let me tell you about one case that I will remember forever. A 74-year-old man, a former engineer, had long suffered from swelling and heaviness in his head. We started with salt baths. The result was positive but short-lived. Then I suggested a simple rule. After the bath, do not sit down to rest immediately. Walk around the room for at least 5 minutes. You can do it slowly, but surely consciously. Feel how your feet touch the floor. 2 weeks later, he came to me and said, "Doctor, not only have I started sleeping better, but I've also stopped forgetting small details, as if my mind has started working again." And this is not a metaphor. Improving circulation truly activates brain function. That's why I call movement the second salt for the vessels. Salt cleanses, while movement fills. Salt draws out the excess, and movement gives life. These are two sides of one process. Without movement, the effect of salt will be temporary, but with movement, it will be lasting. Sometimes I recommend my patients a small practice that can be done even while sitting in a chair. It takes only 3 minutes but greatly supports the condition of the blood vessels.